Li Xiaotian, how did you step on this program? Can you do it? If you can't do it, get the hell out of here. In the office, the boss slapped the planning program I just handed her directly on my face. At this time, she is like a queen, sitting on the office chair, crossing the long legs wrapped in black silk, hands wrapped around, eyes angry and fierce light angrily looked at me. Her name is Lu Kun, a typical image of a vicious boss. To be honest, she is very beautiful, but I do not have a trace of appreciation mood. I spent 2 months to plan out the program was so trampled by her, I was upset, but I did not dare to attack. I could only silently lower my head, let her trample on my dignity. How many times have I said, this project is not child's play, it's the only opportunity for our company to cooperate with foreign companies, it can't be sloppy. Tell me, what's going on with the program you submitted to me? If I were to take this proposal and go to someone else for cooperation, I would probably be swept away by them immediately. I wanted to retort, but in the end, I only got a sentence in return. Boss, I'm sorry, I'll revise it right away and redo it. Get out, hurry up and get out, don't come back to the company if you can't do it right, I don't know what I'm raising you for. After saying that, she stopped looking at me and did her own thing. I silently picked up the program on the ground, walked out of her office, originally a long breath of relief, but as a result, looking at the mocking laughter and eyes of my colleagues, I was a bit groundless, and I wanted to find a crack in the ground to drill in. And this wasn't the first time this had happened. Every time I spend time to experience planning out the program, will be her scolding. Many of my coworkers secretly regarded her as a goddess in private, but in my eyes, she was a demon, a devil who trampled on my dignity. How much I fear her, how much I hate her. Stinking bitch, if it wasn't for the fact that I still have a car loan and house loan to pay off, I wouldn't have wanted to see this face of yours every day. You'd better not fall in my hands, otherwise I have to let you know why the flowers are so red. After cursing a few times in her heart, her mood was also much more relaxed. Returning to the workstation, he began to modify the program according to her requirements. This busy work, a day passed, back home, I even forget to eat, continue their work, is worried that this bitch once again dissatisfied, to me cursing. After many iterations of my revisions, it was once again given to her hands, and finally, a hint of a smile surfaced on her face. Well, this is what I want program well, tomorrow is the day we talk with foreign companies to cooperate, you go with me, as long as the talk is successful, people also look at your program, I immediately promoted you to planning director. Her words I have heard many times, the results of each submitted program she was not satisfied, so it was shelved, I did not hold too much hope. I definitely have to go, after all, the program was made by me, but the thought of being with her made me mutter in my heart again. I really don't want to see her face. The next morning, we took the earliest flight to the foreign country. The other company and our cooperation this time also attaches great importance to the boss personally with the interpreter over to pick us up. The cooperation was soon finalized, and she was all smiles. When she returned home, she was so happy that she had to take a boat and go back as a tourist. I naturally can only listen to her arrangements, this way, in addition to work exchanges, we did not say 10 words in private. As a result, the accident happened. The night of departure, we actually encountered stormy weather, gusty winds rolled up with dark clouds, covering the sky, the waves of the sea is higher than a wave, pouring rain. Our tour boat was like a leaf, rising and falling in the vast ocean. To be honest, I felt death approaching. I ran to the deck in panic and found her there. She saw me and rushed towards me, grabbed my arm and cried out. Li Xiaotian, what should we do? We're not going to die here, are we? Her voice was quickly drowned out by the waves and rolling thunder, and I hated to just slap her a few times, questioning why she had to choose to take the boat, causing me to be buried in the sea with her. But now is not the time to be angry, the main thing is to save life. As a result, a monstrous huge wave directly rolled towards our tour boat. Instantly, cries, shouts and screams were mixed together, but it was only a matter of an instant. The huge wave directly swept us all into the sea, the tourist boat, overturned. I took several mouthfuls of seawater, my consciousness was a little blurred, and I felt that I was hanging onto someone. It was Lu Kun. I desperately swam to the surface of the sea, but she desperately dragged me back to the sea. I really want to directly kick her away, and escape alone, but ultimately think about it or forget it. This is not much different from plotting to kill. Luckily I was a good swimmer and grabbed her and swam to the surface. The life raft on the tourist boat was not far ahead of me. I desperately swam over with her, and used all my strength to send her into the life raft, and I also got into it. After she choked on several mouthfuls of water, she began to cry. I couldn't hold it in any longer, my new hatred erupted and I yelled at her, "Don't fucking cry, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this, shut the fuck up, if you don't want to die, hold on tight." She didn't hear me yell at all, and I ignored him no longer, lying in the life raft, holding on for dear life and going with the flow. I don't know how much time passed, but due to the fact that I had just choked, nervousness, and fear, my consciousness faded and I passed out. When I woke up again, I was shaken by the strong sunlight. My eyes were raw and painful. I slowly sat up, and only after my eyes adjusted to the strong light, did I look around. Looking around clearly, my whole body froze. We actually floated to an island. Not far away, the life raft has long been scrapped. Next to the life raft, Lu Kun lying on all fours on the beach, the black silk on his legs has long been torn and tattered. A weakly stood up and walked towards her. "Boss, wake up." I gently patted her face several times before she woke up with a few coughs. "Where is this? Are we dead?" I looked at her somewhat speechlessly, and said in a good-natured manner, "Yes, we're all dead, and this is hell." I didn't expect her to sniff and actually whimper. "I'm only 28 years old, I just negotiated such a big cooperation, I don't want to die yet." As she cried, I stood up speechlessly and said at her, all right, don't cry, we're not dead, we're just stuck on this island." She sniffed, then she started to look around. I ignored her and got up and walked directly towards the depths of the island. "Hey, Li Xiaotian, where are you going?" "Going where?" "To see if there's anyone on this island, if there's any fishing boats passing by, if not, just be good and wait for death here." She also quickly got up and followed behind me, walking silently. She was originally a queen who was well-dressed and high above the world. Where had she experienced such a thing? And just before I walked for long, I heard her wailing from behind me. I looked back, only to see her clutching her legs, looking at me with a pained expression. "What's wrong?" "Broke my foot a little." "Can you walk?" Hearing my questioning, she directly ordered me in the tone of a boss. "Why are you still asking? Why don't you hurry over and help me?" I was exasperated and laughed, not intending to spoil her. "Sorry, if you're willing to go, go, if you don't want to go, you can stay, I don't have the strength to drag you around." She sniffed and looked at me with a shocked face, thinking she had heard wrong. "Li Xiaotian, what did you say? You have the guts to say another word, do you believe me?" Before she could finish her sentence, I snatched it up. "Fire me right? Then you have to leave from this island alive first." "Not still mean, I don't have time to discuss with you about firing me. If you don't want to go, you can stay, I will go by myself." "You?" She was so angry by me that she gritted her teeth, but I had an inexplicable feeling of joy in my heart. "Stinking bitch, you will finally also fall into my hands. Now I'm not worried at all that she will fire me or something. Whether or not I can go back safely alive is already an unknown. Why do I still have to condescend to spoil her? These years suffered her torture, insults, aggression. I was able to last night to save her a hand. I think I have enough bodhisattva heart. She, on the other hand, has yet to see the situation clearly. Actually dared to swear at me. I really can't bear it anymore." With an arrow step, I rushed up and directly yanked her wrist. "You have the guts to try cursing again." Although she was startled by me, but how could she, who had always been high and mighty, succumb to me, a subordinate who had been suppressed by her for many years, and cursed even more fiercely? I raised my hand and directly called out a slap on her face, and she directly fell to the ground, covering her face and looking at me with a face of disbelief. Before she could regain her senses, I lunged towards her again and directly pressed her underneath me. "You're going to die anyway. Before I die, I'm going to let you taste the anger that you've suppressed for years, all the humiliation, the trampling, and return it all to you today." After saying that, I began to tear the tattered stockings and short skirt on her legs. She struggled up desperately, still greeting my ancestors under her breath. Li Xiaotian, let go of me, you bastard, scum, if you dare to touch me, my husband won't let you go. Husband? It's useless even if the Jade Emperor comes now. I directly sealed her mouth with mine and started kissing her. She desperately wanted to push me away, but it made me even more excited, and in no time at all, her body was stripped clean by me. Just as I wanted to take the final step, she actually stopped resisting and just lay still. I got up and looked at her. Only to see her skimming her head, 2 lines of tears slipping down. At that moment, I was a little soft again, feeling that I had gone too far, the desire in my heart was suppressed. I stood up, turned my back to her, and said, if you want to leave alive, follow me, if you don't want to, just stay here. After saying that, I directly walked towards the front and continued to explore the island. It was only after a while that she then cried out behind me. Li Xiaotian, you heartless thing, when did old me treat you badly? You actually did this to me. I turned around and looked, only to see her limping towards me, obviously scared. She came in front of me, the clothes I had stripped off her body hadn't been fully put on, and the tattered black silk was gone, but she was still cursing under her breath. You scumbag, you wait for me, when we go back, see how I can clean you up. I was completely enraged by her. Bitch, have you cursed enough? If you don't think about traveling, you have to take a boat, will I accompany you to such a state? If you dare to curse one more time, beware that I'll directly leave you here, I guess no one will notice if you die for 100 years. She was frozen in place by my sudden outburst of anger for a long time, only then did she tear her heart out and shouted at me, who are you to be mean to me, what kind of a thing are you that you dare to speak to me like this? For this woman, I am superfluous words do not want to say, can only silently leave. She also bumbled along behind me, and since then, I haven't said a word to her. We explored the island once. The result is that there is no result, this small island above cannot even see a ghost shadow, let alone human shadow, 4 sides are boundless sea, there is not a trace of human landing. That means, if we have to wait for other fishing boats and merchant ships to pass by, it's about the same chance as our tourist boat wrecking. I sat mute on the highest peak of the island, looking at the endless sea, with mixed feelings in my heart. Lu Kung probably also guessed the result, did not like just chirping and cursing non-stop, silently stood not far away. After a long time, I came back to my senses. Getting up, walking towards the mountain, I don't want to sit around and wait for death, even if I know that the chances of being saved are slim to none, I must still hold on to a glimmer of hope. Until then, I had to live. Where are you going? She asked at me as I walked up to her. I replied to her lightly with 3 words, stay alive, and ignored her, going down the mountain on my own, with her still silently following behind me. I came to a dry place, surrounded by dense forest cover, even if it rains, will not be wet much. I started to drill wood to make fire, this is not difficult for me, when I was a child in the countryside used to wild, up the mountain to catch birds, down the river to touch the fish, easy. She watched silently by my side. The moment the flame rose, she excitedly ran over, wanting to share the warmth in my hands, but she was usually used to being high and might feel unable to wipe her face, waiting for me to call her over. But I ignored her, and after simply reinforcing the surroundings to make sure that I wouldn't get wet during the night rains, I found some dry firewood and added it to the fire. After all this, it was already dark, and apart from the sound of the waves, there was endless darkness around us. She just stood aside, still looking arrogant, I still ignored her. Looking to myself, I found banana leaves and spread them on the ground, and directly lay down next to the fire and fell asleep. Li Xiaotian, you. I lazily ignored him and rolled over, continuing to sleep. After a long time, I then heard a rustling sound coming from behind me. I turned around and saw that she also followed my example, looking for banana leaves, spreading them on the ground and lying down. When she saw me looking at her, she directly blanked me, turned her back to me, and turned around to lie down. You're high and mighty queen, you also have a time when you fall into my hands, from tomorrow onwards, I would like to see how long you can be high and mighty. The next morning, I woke up first, my stomach rumbling with hunger, so I got up and prepared to go find food. Not long after stepping out of this temporary camp, she also woke up and shouted at me in panic, Li Xiaotian, where are you going? looking for food, or else starve to death. Without paying any more attention to her, I went to the side of the beach to see if there was anything I could eat. A leap into the water, sure enough, no one has ever come here, there are many seafood creatures in the sea, lobster, abalone, and fish. I don't know whether to be happy or disappointed because I don't know when we will be rescued, happy because, at least, I don't worry about starving to death. Caught 2 lobsters, a fish on the shore, back to the camp. Lu Kun still stayed in the camp. She looked at me walking with the lobsters, a hint of surprise showed in her eyes, a flash, the bitch thought I would share it with her. Not that I had any intention of doing so. Setting up the fire, I threw the 2 lobsters directly into the fire, then found a wooden stick to stick the fish in and started roasting them. Before long, the aroma of grilled fish and lobsters filled the area around the campground. I grabbed a lobster and peeled it, full of lobster meat was simply too good to be true. After I put it in my mouth and nibbled on it, it was a satisfying awe. Lu Kun's face changed when she saw that I didn't give her the other one. When I finished building one lobster and grabbed the other, I was ready to start eating. She finally couldn't hold it in. Hey, Li Xiaotian, give me this lobster, I can pay you as much as you want. I glanced at her and sneered, Big boss, do you think money is everything? Now even if you give me $10 million, is it useful? She was furious and stood up at once. Don't give me an inch, are you really going to watch me starve to death? I gave her a blank look. If you don't want to starve to death, you can, go down to the sea and fish for yourself. After saying that, I quickly finished shelling the shrimp and started eating. I knew that she couldn't swim and was probably starving. She looked towards the fish that was still roasting in the fire, and all of a sudden rushed up, wanting to snatch it away. I didn't give him a chance, and snatched the roasted fish. Said, want to eat, go and fish it yourself. You? She froze in place and just watched me send 2 lobsters and a grilled fish into my stomach. After eating, I lay down beautifully, ready to rest. She said at me. Fish for yourself, I don't believe that, without you, I can't survive on this island. After saying that, she turned around and left. I ignored her and closed my eyes. I still need to reinforce the campsite later, the weather in the sea can change at any time, it's not certain when the storm will come. I don't want to get sick in this environment, even a common cold can be fatal. Half an hour passed and she came back gray with anger written all over her face. Finally, she began to show her weakness to me. Li Xiaotian, I know, I wasn't very nice to you before, I often scolded you, and this time, it's also because of my capriciousness that we're stuck here. Tell me, what will it take for you to help me? She was showing weakness, but her tone was still condescending, and I rolled over, ignoring her. When she saw this, I could clearly feel the exasperation making her breathing heavier. To be honest, I was still relatively happy in my heart. I'm really not a person who loves to retaliate, but all these years she has ruthlessly stepped on my dignity and rubbed it on the ground, almost 3 times a week, plus because he has strayed to such a state, I say good hate to her. Li Xiaotian, speak, what exactly do you want me to do before you are willing to help me? Finally, I exploded. I sat up at once and said all the words that I had held in my heart all these years wanting to vent. What? You also know that there's no such thing as a nice meal in the world without working for it. Yes, you pay me a salary, so I should work for you, but I'm also a human being. Every time you pressed my dignity to the ground and stomped on it a few times, making it impossible for me to hold my head up in front of my coworkers, did you ever consider my feelings? Every time my efforts are belittled to nothing by you, do you understand the feeling of putting in all that hard work only to get a scolding in return? I just felt that my anger had rushed out of the sky. I am also born and raised by my father and mother, I also have dignity and self-respect, and what happened? How did you treat me? Don't you dare to put up a lofty appearance in front of me, I don't want to serve you now. Fine, if you want me to help you, you can, how about kneeling down for me and letting me step on you a few times, so you can taste what it's like to have your dignity trampled on? She was completely shocked by my roar. Complex looks of horror, shock, and fear flowed from her eyes. Opening her mouth, she didn't say a word in half a day. I knew for sure she wouldn't want to, and ignored her, got up, and began to work on fortifying the camp. She froze in place for a long time, and only after a while did she slowly walk towards me, picking up the banana leaf on the ground and handing it to me. I glanced at her, and she said to me, "I'm sorry, I know I was wrong, it was indeed me who didn't know how to care about your feelings before, so just don't be angry for the sake of us getting along for so long." This time, her tone was much milder, and although I was still very angry in my heart, in the end I accepted the banana leaf she handed over and continued to fortify the camp. Seeing this, a hint of a smile appeared on her face and she continued to assist me, completely letting go of her lofty stance. Not long after, a shed capable of sheltering from the wind and rain was finally completed, and she jumped up and down happily as she watched our joint efforts. "Xiao Tian, look at this, even if it rains heavily at night, I'm not afraid anymore." I glanced at her, and she instantly put away her smile again, as if she didn't want me to see her happy appearance. Then, her hand cooed alone. She looked at me with some embarrassment. From yesterday's shipwreck, until now, she hadn't eaten anything at all, so I turned around on my own and continued to look for food to go. This time, I shared some food with her. "These are what you deserve for helping me fortify the shed. Remember, in the future, if you want food, you must exchange it for the fruits of your own labor." She didn't say anything, grabbed the lobster and grilled fish, and started nibbling away. I stepped out of the camp and gathered dry wood, half of which I piled up around the camp, and the other half I took with me to the highest part of the island and covered it with banana leaves. She asked, somewhat unknowingly from the side, "What are you doing with all this dry firewood here?" I faintly returned, "If any fishing and merchant ships pass by, lighting these faggots and raising the smoke will enable them to see and us to be rescued." Time passed day by day, and judging by the orthographic characters I carved into the tree, we had been stuck on this island for over a month. She and I, while not close enough to be intimate, have eased up a lot. At least there was no arguing, no cold stares. That night, dark clouds covered the sky, and I knew that a storm was coming. Sure enough, she and I were out looking for food and had just returned to camp when a bolt of lightning ripped through the sky like it was the end of days. It was followed by a violent storm. She sat crouched on the ground with her hands clasped around her knees and her head buried between them, each clap of thunder causing her to tremble a little. The camp had been fortified several times, and would no longer be persecuted by the storm, so I couldn't help but ask her, "What's wrong?" She raised her head and looked at me, her face full of panic, and said, "The storm, it reminds me of that night when we were killed, and I'm a little scared." I was a little helpless and said to her, "If you're scared, sit next to me." Without saying a word, she moved directly toward me and put her arms around me. To be honest, other than the last time I almost got her that way, it was the first time we were in such close contact. Even though we were alone on this island, we kept our distance and didn't cross the line. She raised her head and looked at me, her scared eyes made my heart ache a little. "Xiao Tian, is it okay to hug me? I'm so scared." I didn't say anything and gathered her into my arms, comforting her, "All right, I'm here, don't be afraid." Every time there was a thunderclap and I felt her trembling in my arms, I would always hold her tightly. Over the past month, the hatred towards her had been eliminated, and I also knew that if I had been left alone and stranded on this island, I would have gone crazy a long time ago. That night, the thunder never stopped. She was lying beside me, resting on my thigh. She seemed to be much better and not so scared. "All right, go to sleep, I'm sleepy." She got up then, and went back to her spot, and I lay down. But it didn't take long for her to actually come to my side and lay right down, burrowing into my arms. I looked at her a little nervously. "What are you doing?" Under the reflection of the fire, her pretty face was slightly reddened, and she whispered, "I just want to sleep in your arms, I'm scared." I wanted to refuse, but looking at her pathetic appearance, I had to give in. A month down the line, the clothes on our bodies have long since not much left, and tattered. I can clearly feel the body temperature of her body. To any man, in this situation will want to get into the wrong, I am the same, the body naturally reacted. She would have had her back to me, and our bodies were tightly pressed together. "Xiao Tian, thank you for taking care of me this month." She didn't say the second half of her sentence. I waited silently, and after a while, she turned around and looked at me with misty eyes. "Do you want my body?" "I do." I froze, fixedly looking at her. Honestly, the hell do not want to, in this deserted island, a lonely man and a woman, every day is only to see and not eat, has long been suffocated. We don't know how much longer we have to stay here. If it's true that no one finds us, no one comes to save us, then we have to be together all the time. All this time, you haven't touched me. I can see that you're a good man. So, I'm willing to entrust myself to you, and if we do get rescued one day, then we'll return to our normal lives. As she finished speaking, her head gradually moved closer to me and kissed my lips, and it didn't take long for me to fall and start responding to her. In an instant, we were stripped of each other's clothing. That night, thunder rolled outside, and Spring was in the shed. Since then, we have completely changed our relationship, from an up and down relationship at the beginning, to supporting each other afterward, to a couple or even a husband and wife relationship now. Every day we live a life of early morning and late night. In the daytime, we went down to the sea to touch fish, went to the mountains to pick wild fruits, and when we returned to the camp, we ate a good meal, and then embraced each other and went to sleep. From time to time, we had a night of springtime and lived a completely isolated life. The smiles on both her and my faces became more numerous, and even, many times, I would actually feel that it was actually quite good even if we lived here all the time. Not worrying about food and clothing, not worrying about the mortgage and car loan, not worrying about money, and such a great beauty as a companion. Isn't this the Peachland life that many people want to live? Time slowly passed 3 years, do not know, we have been on this island for 3 years, that tree was I carved orthography record time has been carved full. One day, she and I were swimming in one of the shallows on the beach, a skill I had taught her a long time ago. I sat on the reef and watched her mermaid-like in the water, a smile unconsciously hanging at the corners of my mouth. Not long after, she came to me unclothed, sat directly into my arms, hooked her hands around my neck, and said in my ear with an extremely seductive voice, "Xiao Tian, has my swimming skill improved a lot?" "That's for sure, you don't look at who taught you." Saying that, my hands began to be dishonest, and with a pretty red face, she peeled off my hands and pouted, "Hate, you're not planning to be here, are you? Go back and talk about it. What are you afraid of? We are the only two on this island, are you still worried about being seen?" Her face reddened a few more points, and in the end, she could only obey me. However, right at this moment, I suddenly saw something appear on the surface of the sea. I even thought I had misread it, rubbed my eyes and looked over again. I was instantly ecstatic. "Look, what's that?" She turned her head to look, and like me, immediately exclaimed. "It's a boat, yes, it's really a boat." The desire I had just evoked was suddenly gone, and I hurriedly took her hand. Running towards the campground. "Go, light the firewood, they'll see the smoke and come to our rescue." We ran back to the campsite, put on the clothes that were still left, grabbed torches, and headed straight for the place where I had stacked the firewood in the first place. I looked back at her, but realized that her face wasn't as excited as I thought it would be. What was wrong with that? Isn't it nice to be rescued? When I got to the pile of firewood, I was about to light it up when she suddenly stopped me. I looked at her with some disbelief. "What's wrong?" She looked at me with loss. "Xiao Tian, have you thought about it? Are we really going back?" I froze, not understanding what she meant at all. "Of course, if we don't go back, are we going to stay here for the rest of our lives?" Instead, she said, "But if we do go back, I have my own family, and you have your own life, can we still be together? I don't want to lose you, and here, isolated as I am from the world, I'm happy and stress-free, and with you with me, I think that's enough." I froze once more. It was true, if we did go back, we wouldn't be able to be the same as we are now. She would return to her family, I would start a new life of my own. Could I lose her? But then I thought, if we don't go back, what about my parents? They probably thought we were dead and hadn't gotten over their grief yet. In the end, I could only comfort her. "What is it like outside now? We can't even say, if we go back, you are willing to stay with me, and I am willing to take care of you for the rest of your life. We can't stay here all the time, we still have our parents." She sniffed and eventually let go of me. "Yeah, we still have parents." After saying that, she lowered her head in loss. I didn't hesitate any longer and stuck the torch into the woodpile, and all of a sudden, smoke rose in all directions. The fishing boat that had already sailed away also noticed the smoke, turned around, and came from this side. We were rescued, except that none of us could see much happiness on our faces. On the fishing boat, in the face of the fisherman who chattered about us, she did not say a word. I could only give them answers, when the fishing boat docked, but we did not know where to go. Eventually, with the help of those kind fishermen and the police, we were finally on our way back to the city we lived in. On this journey, neither of us had the joy of returning to society. Instead, both of us did not say a word. At the airport, my parents, her parents and her husband came to meet us. The two families embraced each other and sobbed, talking about how much they had missed each other all these years. They did think that we had all been buried at sea, and even had a funeral, and we came back and gave them too big a surprise. Just as our two families parted, she peeked at me and I peeked at her. At that moment, I watched the tears welling up in her eyes, and my heart ached hard. I knew that she wasn't feeling joy at being back with her loved ones, back in her husband's arms, but sadness at being about to leave me. Back at the home I once had, the house was still there. My parents had been helping me pay off the mortgage over the years, and I learned that her company had closed not long after our accident. When I was with my parents and family, there was the joy of a brief reunion, but when I was alone, I felt empty and haunted inside. There were even times when I always felt that day that maybe I really shouldn't have lit that wood fire. After a month of recuperation, we came back. We have not seen each other again. Perhaps, she and I have returned to their own lives. Perhaps, in the future we'll no longer have any intersection. Although in the same city, but feel so far away. It's time to go out and continue to earn money. Can't let my parents always help me pay the mortgage. Open the recruitment soft key. A company into my eyes. The name is exactly the same as her company. The registration time is also recent. Is it such a coincidence? I quickly submitted my resume and soon received an invitation for an interview. I came to the company with trepidation. The size is not too big. The front desk recruiter asked for my information, and then asked me to wait. I sat in the office and waited. After a while, the office door opened. I looked back. The whole person was dumbfounded. "Sir, you're hired." It was her. She was looking at me with a smile on her face, wearing a professional suit. Her legs were once again wrapped in tantalizing black silk, seductive in a competent way. I slowly stood up and she suddenly lunged at me, crashing into my arms. "I missed you so much, did you miss me?" I couldn't hold back any longer and swept her into my arms, holding her for dear life, as if I had to incorporate her into my body before I was willing to do so. After a long time, she lifted her head and said to me, "Li Xiaotian, I'm single now, are you considering marrying me?" I froze and looked at her. She then explained to me. It turned out that after our accident, their family, like my family, were frantically searching for us, and as a result, they found nothing, and could only assume that we had been shipwrecked, and that her husband had remarried another woman more than a year ago. I was thrilled to have her in my arms again. "Mary, as long as you are willing, I will take care of you for the rest of your life." At this moment, don't mention how happy I was inside. We started from the beginning of the incompatibility, legendary to today, really like a dream. Later, even though we were out of touch with society for 3 years, the company grew bigger and bigger after our hard work. We also stepped into the marriage hall in the witness of our relatives, and we also chose that island where we stayed for 3 years as the place for our honeymoon. The shed remained. Lighting the woodpile, she burrowed into my arms. "Honey, how about we come over here more often from now on?" "Yes, I'll come over with you whenever you want to come."